Now this will tell us. And that's pretty conclusive. Still going. Close. I think he got it down.
How strong is he?
Welcome back to the Pick and Go Rugby podcast as we get set to preview a massive weekend of rugby with the Rugby Championship and the Bunnings NPC both kicking off in the next 24 to 48 hours. If you're listening on the podcast, you'll have just heard all the great insights from Jeff Wilson, who we were lucky to have join us from South Africa.
Yeah, good.
It was great, yeah. And if you are watching on YouTube, that'll also be available on the TAB podcast channel. So head over there once you've finished listening to us, give out all our best bets for the weekend, because was plenty of great stuff that Goldie had to share. As you can see now, by the magic of time and space, Paul Marty has transported himself from Hataitai into the studio. Thank you for making your way along here, Paul. How are you?
That's how I roll.
It's an interesting little angle to get going early in the morning. So
I think rolling mauls are going to be a big part of the conversation.
They certainly will be. And another man who loves a rolling maul, or at least betting on rolling mauls, joining us remotely this week, Richard Leddy. How are you, mate?
Yeah, very good, thank you. I was down to the mainland last week, and there was plenty of talk about how Richie needed to start. So I'm sure there's a lot of anger amongst the Crusaders fans last night and this morning.
Only a minute into the podcast, and we've heard about the Crusaders.
They still want Chris Wiley starting on the blind side, don't they, down south?
I think Shane Philpott at second 5'8".
But once again, we really need to try not to alienate like a third of our audience this early into podcasts. But no, we might as well get straight into it, because that's the reason we are recording on a Friday morning for a change. We had to wait until the New Zealand rugby team waited to South African time to announce their squad for the All Blacks opener of the Rugby Championship, obviously against the Springboks on Sunday morning our time. But to be honest, I think we probably could have guessed a lot of the team from what we've seen previously, right, Paul?
Maybe one or two surprises, maybe. Tokiaho getting a start at hooker. I mean, I'm all for it. I just thought possibly with Jason Ryan joining the coaching team, that maybe he would have stuck with players he knew or had a great affinity with. But Tokiaho certainly deserves his start. I'm happy to see him there. But the rest of the makeup, maybe Caleb Clark getting a start on the wing. Outside of that, it looks fairly predictable.
Yeah, I'd have to agree there. Were you expecting maybe a few more changes or a couple of rolls of the dice in this matchday squad, Richard, or happy that they've sort of stuck with the guys that they seem to have identified as their top team?
Yeah, well, I think that's it. They've sort of identified some of these players who maybe didn't perform at their best in the Irish series, but they're probably the guys that they've circled for the World Cup next year. So good to see Takiaho have a start. Taylor was probably one of the biggest underperformers in that series. So yeah, I am sort of a little bit surprised in the fact, as Paul said, that Jason Ryan being there, but I think on form, nearly have Takiaho go there. But excited to see Clark get a shot. I think Reese and Whanganuku, neither of them did a whole heap of bad in that series. You know, they both tried pretty hard and had some good moments, but Clark sort of adds an extra element. He's probably got a bit of extra size there as well, compared to Reese in particular. So, it's a pretty good team, really. And looking forward to seeing what some of these young guys can do off the bench, and particularly in the front row.
Yeah, it is interesting. I guess they have sort of probably got some new not new faces to the Black setup, but guys who didn't get a run for various reasons during the Island series, and Tyrell Lomax, Tupu Bai, Shannon Frizzell, Ethan de Groot, all on the bench there. So maybe we will see a bit of a different sort of impetus off the bench that we didn't really see in that Irish series, with obviously Ireland, I think, outscoring the All Blacks, or certainly controlling the second halves for at least the last two tests. I am excited to see, you sort of touched on Samisoni Taukei'aho there. Jason Ryan knows Cody Taylor and what he can do, but on the other hand, like Jason Ryan getting his hands on a Samisoni Taukei'aho who has all the physical ability that he does, that's certainly something I think is pretty exciting. Maybe against the Springboks, you'd think set piece consistency and ability is maybe a little bit more important than sort of ability around the park, because you're your props aren't going to be asked to move around and maybe make as many tackles in space as an island would demand of them. But certainly,
well, I think we saw that from the Springboks again in that Welsh series where there was a lot of one-off running, and they've got 8 big forwards on the park, and they've got another 6 on the bench to come on and help out when needed. And so I don't think we'll see them veer too much from that game plan where they're just getting 8 big forwards to take one-off hit ups, especially close to the line. In fact, I think there was one sort of phase there against the Welsh when they were 5 meters out from the try line, and the Springboks just kept pounding away, player after player after player. And I think that's probably what we're going to see, a lot more of that from the Springboks this weekend. So I hope the All Blacks have practiced the tackling, because they're going to be doing a lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, South Africa traditionally, right, they're not too concerned about giving up the ball. They will kick it to you and sort of back their defence to knock you down. And I don't think there's anything the All Blacks would have necessarily shown them from that Irish series or even the games towards the end of last year where they'll be overly concerned about deviating from that game plan. It was interesting sort of looking at the series against Wales. Obviously, it was a very experimental series, and it sort of brought back memories for us New Zealand fans of maybe the Graham Henry era where, 14 changes one week to the other. But they weren't even chancing. They'd occasionally in the past maybe go 1 or 2 phases, try and break down a defence before kicking it away. But they were very much like just going the old school direct route. And I think maybe with, not that they're under pressure in South Africa, but the South African public, like the New Zealand public, has a very high expectation of their national side and they expect to win every game. Maybe Rassie Erasmus and co and the Springboks Brains Trust want to just get the win under their belt in Mbombela, and then they can maybe chance their arm a little bit more in the second test next week. So,
well, we saw in that Welsh series that they're not afraid to make changes. It was about a dozen changes from the first test to the second test match for the Springboks. So
that is a monstrous Springbok pack they've named.
I don't remember a small Springbok pack ever being named.
No, the props, I mean, just the depth and talent they've got in their type 5 is fairly amazing.
And carrying that extra forward on the bench as well puts a lot of it signals their game plan pretty strongly, doesn't it? I've been looking through some replays of the previous games, and there was one. I think it was either one of the games in Australia last year where we played, where they sort of had that different game plan, and they came out firing and they were throwing the ball around, and there were some beautiful flick passes and all that. So it'd be nice to see something like that. But I suspect, looking at that team, it's going to be physical. And there'll be a lot of one-outs and kicking the ball and playing for position. So,
he'll have his kicking boots on.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a shame because it works very well. But like Lakanyo Arm is one of the best players in the world, and you think back to that moment of magic on the Gold Coast where he had the flick pass. Set up the try. Like if you put that guy in a backline where he's fully unleashed and allowed to do all the things he's capable of, he'd be a global megastar. But
knows his role.
That is a big loss because he's another one of those X factors. The guys that if they only create a half chance, he's certainly capable of putting them away. Makazole Mapimbi is going to chase kicks all day and put the All Blacks back through.
He knows what his job is going to be,
and he's great at it. So you can't really argue with that. Faf de Klerk at 9 as well over Jaden Hendricks, who had a really good series against Wales. I think that's a very clear indication of what the Springboks want to do with their game plan. Faf is great. Obviously, he's got the box kicks and everything, but he's really good at controlling that tempo and when the Springboks want to go or when they want to maybe pull back a little bit and play the more conservative game plans. So, I think we're all in agreement about what we expect to see from the Springboks here. So that probably brings us on to the odds aspect of this podcast. You look like you've got something on the tip of your tongue there, Paul, ready to... certainly the bookies, I think, are maybe expecting they have these two teams rated a little bit closer than certainly the New Zealand general public, and probably the three of us do. It's New Zealand have drifted slightly in the head-to-head market, currently $2.10 at the time of recording. South Africa $1.72, $16 for the draw, which has happened in plenty of Rugby Championship tests over the last few years, if it's something you're interested in. But were you surprised to see the All Blacks just the 1.5 point underdogs here?
Slightly, I thought they may be around the 3 point underdog, and it wouldn't surprise me to see them drift even slightly more. If they do, I'd be very, very happy to jump on at around the 220 mark. Ooh. So, but the All Blacks, they hardly ever open as underdogs. They've opened as underdogs and they've drifted since. Now, we've just taken a wee bit of money since opening back on the All Blacks. So the two teams are now trading almost dollar for dollar. But I guess it's just the fact that the All Blacks are coming off, 4 losses from their last 5 test matches. And I guess we're just looking at a team where there haven't been too many changes made. So how are we going to see a different performance from this team? Now, maybe the fact that they're away from home, they've been together in a camp over the last week, that'll bring the team a wee bit closer together. But I'll be interested to see what sort of tactics they take into that first test. So,
yeah, no, it will be. I think tactics will come down a lot to it in terms of the margins and everything like that. Right, it's going to be pretty warm in Mbombela on Saturday afternoon their time. Obviously not on the high veld as Goldie was saying, but still a little bit of altitude.
The low veld,
the low veld.
The low veld. I didn't realise there was a low veld.
Oh, there's all sorts of velds. But how about you, Richard? What were your sort of initial opinions on these pretty tight odds for this test?
I think it's about right. I think that these two teams, Patrick, you and I have been talking about this week, the closeness of the games recently. Like 6 of the last 7 have been decided by 2 points or less, and I think there was a draw. One of those 6 games was a draw. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this another just grinding, 2-point win either way. So I think they've got it about right. I know the All Blacks have lost 4 of the last 5, but it is still the All Blacks, and those 2 games these two teams played last year in Australia it was just brilliant rugby. So and I think the All Blacks know they've got plenty to play for, and it's still bizarre. It's still weird to see them as underdogs, even though they clearly should be underdogs. But South Africa aren't the sort of team who are going to sort of run away with it. They'll just do what they have to do to grind the win. So I think it's about right, and I'm finding it hard to find a lean on the point start for this game.
Fair enough. Just changing tack for a second, I thought I had sort of watching back some of the highlights and replays from those the mid-year series was, I wonder what the sort of mood ahead of this series would be if Ireland had toured South Africa last month and Wales had come to New Zealand, because, for all there was obviously the rotation and everything like that. This was a Wales team that lost to Italy not that long ago and finished 5th in the Six Nations, and then went to South Africa and won their first test in the Republic ever. And you'd have to imagine Ireland, if they'd gone to South Africa, they were playing so well, they would have at least given the Boks some trouble as well. So I wonder if it is, a little bit of recency bias and getting caught up in those 3 games.
The game that Wales won was the game where they made the 14 changes, wasn't it?
But they also should have won the first test, really.
Series,
I think the Springboks used that series as a build-up. These 2 test matches here. So they weren't afraid to make changes, try a few different things or a few different players. And now they're going to put their A game and their A team on the field, and they're going to give it a hell of a go. So I think it would have been better for us if Ireland had toured South Africa.
We'd have Wales.
I'm not saying that we would have won the series against Wales. They stood up and they played very, very well against the Springboks. But I just think it set this series up very nicely, or this 2-match series in the Rugby Championship over in South Africa. I think it set up very, very nicely for the Springboks to progress from where they were against the Welsh. So,
yeah, they certainly had the luxury of having one eye on the Rugby Championship the whole time, when Ian Foster and co did not have. They needed results in that Ireland series.
They were fighting for their lives.
Yeah. So that is something we can consider. All right, we'll make some calls then.
Yes, let's do it.
I think I've probably got a little bit more conviction with my betting than maybe the 2 of you, just from what I've heard. But I'll let you lead off since you've taken exception to that, Paul. Do you want to give us your best bet for the game?
Best bet? As you say, the recent results between these 2 teams and certainly in South Africa have been very, very close. So I've taken the try bet, either team to win by 7 and under at $1.92.
I did look at that. It's a very short number for what you usually see for the try.
Correct.
You usually expect a 2 in front of that at least.
Yeah,
but it was something that crossed my mind. Shout out to Grant Nisbet. Obviously, that was a favourite of his when he was a member of the Pick and Go podcast. How about you, Richard? What's jumped out to you for a best bet?
Sign me out. I'm with Paul there. Love the try bet in this game. I know it's short, but it's still, considering that it's the last 7. I think the one game that wasn't by 2 points or less was the the round robin game in the 2019 World Cup. So, and I've just been sort of looking through the last 10 years, and there's just so many close games between these two teams. So, wouldn't have minded getting a 2 in front of it, but I'll still take it $1.92 either team, 7 and under.
Fair enough. I'm going winning team and margin market because we've got rugby union bonus bet can play for this game as well. So
yes,
same as during Super Rugby and all that. If you place a winning team and margin bet and you have the right team but the wrong margin, we will refund you up to $50 as a bonus bet. But I don't think I'm going to be needing that insurance because I'm taking South Africa 1 to 12 at $2.50. I think they're maybe not firing on all cylinders, but as I said when we were talking to Goldie, they've got a much better chance of sort of getting that A- B+ performance out of the side. I think they can do just enough, just the depth in the tight 5 in particular. They're going to take their 3 points when it's on offer. They'll create enough opportunities from set piece and rolling maul and everything. And yeah, I do think that's the value side to be on. Obviously, the All Blacks are the All Blacks, and it's pretty terrifying. Counting them out, like just look at what happened in the second half against Ireland there at the Cape Town. Even when Will Jordan goes 80 metres, sort of if you bet against them, you'd be feeling pretty nervous. But I'm big fan of the South African side in terms of the overall machinery and what they can do. So I think they are probably deserved favourites, and I don't see them running away with it. So I'll happily take the $2.50 for 1 to 12.
Nice.
How about a bit of value for the punters, Paul?
Value bet? Yeah. I see your South Africa 1 to 12, and I raise you South Africa 1 to 5 at $5. I think it's going to be a penalty between them, and I think the South Africans probably going to come just out on the right side of the ledger this time. So South Africa to win by 1 to 5 at $5.
Hard to argue with that. What's your value, Richard?
I think the All Blacks will win a game in the series, and I think it might be, if it's this one, it'll be close. So I'll take New Zealand 1 to 5 at $5.25. So if it's tight and by 1 to 5, Paul, one of us is in the money. We're both in the money with the try bet anyway. So there's plenty to play for. It's not going to be like a runaway win for either team. But 1 to 5, New Zealand. $5.25.
I might have to take the draw, so we've got the whole sort of 11-point range covered there. Obviously, these two teams.
Get on the 13 and over now, punters.
No, but odds not up at time of recording, but they should be up shortly. Not quite sure what Malcolm Marx is going to come up to score a try, but if that his price there isn't juicy enough to count as a value bet, just take him for first try scorer. I'm expecting
or two.
Either of those. But I'm expecting it to be a pretty cagey opening 40, probably more kicks at goal than kicks for the corner. So we say the Springboks, obviously, I think, certainly the second test against Wales, they didn't score a try, so they haven't really been flying out of the gates. But he is starting, obviously, I think it's his 50th cap, so they've given him the 2 jersey rather than the 16 jersey this week. We saw Ireland score off a rolling maul about 3 minutes into the Cape Town against the All Blacks and then score off another one as well. So that's clearly not an area of strength for the All Blacks, their maul defence, and it is an area of strength for the Springboks pack. So at some stage or another, and while Malcolm's on the field, I expect him to get on the back of a rolling maul, and it's going to be very hard to stop once he does. So just given he's starting as well, the first try scorer price will be pretty appealing, but definitely be backing him to score a try. And I will be chucking him in all my same game multis as well. So if we'll go around the room and do a little pick and go same game multi, because we've got to get one of these up at some stage this season. Obviously, I'll kick us off with Malcolm Marx, the anytime try scorer as my leg. What have you got to add to this, Paul?
Well, I've got him as well. So can we take him to get 2 tries or more?
Yeah, we'll do that.
Although we need 3 legs to qualify for the same game claim.
That's true. Yeah, we'll see what Rissy's got. Then I might be able to come up with something else.
All right.
What do you want to chuck in there, Richard?
I'll just go New Zealand plus 7.5.
No, fair enough. We'll chuck Will Jordan.
Yeah, that was my second one, Will Jordan. So I'm happy with that.
Goldie was keen on that too, so that can be his contribution to the same game. We'll go. So Malcolm Marx and Will Jordan dotting down New Zealand plus 7.5 for this week's pick, which we are running same game claim on the.
Let me just double check that.
We'll hold the line, callers.
Here we go.
I'm pretty sure we are. Yeah,
I will cut this bit out of the podcast, but we're recording much later than usual, and I might not have the energy. So enjoy this little vamping bit.
There it is. Same game claim on both the South Africa All Blacks test and the Argentina Australia test as well.
unfortunately won't get time to cover too much of the Wallabies versus Argentina. But when you've got your winnings from your pick and go same game multi at 6:15 on Sunday morning, you can head along to the South America and get involved with that one too. But
you might not have your bonus bet in time for that though.
Oh no. Well, you won't need the bonus bet because
it'll be a winner.
I've definitely jinxed it now, but we've got to be positive, right? We'll move along. Speaking of being positive, being excited, it's a great time of year. We are less than 12 hours away from the kickoff of the 2022 Bunnings NPC. Huge game of huge weekend of rugby coming up in New Zealand. Obviously, kicking things off where it should be at the Boneyard in Palmerston North is Manawatu. I think 23.5 point underdogs now against Canterbury Friday night footy.
How many?
It's out to about 23.5.
Yeah, 23.5 was this morning.
Yeah, some other big games. I think the one I've got circled is Hawke's Bay taking on defending champions Waikato at up in Hamilton. That looks to be a cracker. Two of the teams we were all pretty high on this season. You're not so keen on Waikato, I believe, Paul, but obviously
I don't say I'm not keen on them. I'm very keen on Hawke's Bay.
Yes, we're all very keen on Hawke's Bay.
I think I had Waikato close to the 8.
Yeah,
they're in the 8. They're in the 8.
So charitable of you, but yeah.
Crikey.
I take it that's one of the games you've got circled for a must-watch game.
Yeah, I think it's the game of the round. Be very, very interesting to see how Hawke's Bay go away from home this season. They certainly defended the log of wood at McLean Park last season. They were very, very tough there, even with the rejigged schedule. And they could have got tripped up with, was it Tasman that went there late in the season and a challenge for the log, which sort of, it could have caught them on the hop and it didn't. And I just think it goes to show sort of culture that they've built there in Hawke's Bay. And I see them building on it. I know no whakatawa this year, but hey,
Brad Weber,
come on down, Brad Weber. It's not a bad. Oh, we've lost this guy, but we get this guy.
Some people reckon he's the second best halfback in New Zealand.
Well.
Playing against some of his Chiefs buddies as well, so he'll have plenty to prove.
Tyrone Thompson to score a try, I'm sure can interest you in that now that he's made the move down to the Hawke's Bay region as well.
Just give me any hooker this season. Fair thing.
Yeah, we'll have to get some sort of pick and go hookers multi lined up at some stage this season. But yeah, I think Hawke's Bay, when you can get a team that's that consistent, they only lost one game in the regular season all year last year, and that was up in Taranaki. So yeah, getting the 4.5 point head start, I'm pretty happy to look at that. Is there any other games you've got circled, Richard, as ones to watch? Anything?
I'm just interested in the Wellington Bay Plenty one. I think Wellington is a team that I wasn't as high on as Paul in particular. I think I remember.
Noted.
And Bay Plenty is a team that I don't know. Bay Plenty, I really enjoyed Bay Plenty last year. I think they played some good footy and they sort of. I don't know, yeah. So it'll be a test for Wellington, like they're pretty short favourites. They're paying $1.27, and the Bay Plenty are at about $3.80, I think. So wouldn't be. I'll probably be having a little bit of a go at Bay Plenty in that game, just at that price. And I mean, it's always hard to back a Wellington team as big favourites, isn't it?
Yeah, I think history would have taught us that's probably something you want to be staying away from in terms of sustainable edges and all that sort of stuff. So. Yeah, I've got a little value bet lined up for that game, but I think, especially up front, Bay Plenty look like they're going to be very solid, and that's probably not Wellington's strength on the other hand. So, you know what they say: forwards win the games, backs decide by how much. So, something to keep an eye on there before you steam into the Lions for sure.
I mean, they do have a brilliant backline, the Wellington. So if it all goes well for them, they could really go deep in this comp. But yeah, they're paying far too short in the outright winner market, and so this will be a good little first test. I mean, I think odds suggest those two are the closest games. Mbombela Bridge always throws out a bit of fun, so that'll be entertaining. I think that's tomorrow night. But yeah, I think the Waikato Hawke's Bay and Wellington Bay Plenty are the two games that I'm most looking forward to, apart from your Mighty Turbos, Patrick.
Oh, of course, yeah. Auckland one team. Shout out to Auckland, and of course the Springboks, who can name their teams more than 23 minutes from kickoff. It seems like not the most probably imposing Auckland 15 I've ever seen, though. You've got some big names there. Zahn Sullivan, obviously, Celestia Rayasi on the left wing. Harry Plummer is back from injury to lead the side from the 10 jersey. But North Harbour, a big price, $4 head to head. You got obviously made some good signings, the likes of Jamie Booth, Alex Fidow. So I think they'll keep that competitive. It's a big rivalry game as well. So
What's the points?
yeah, I wouldn't talk you out of the plus 11.5 there, but yeah, certainly one to watch. Should we? Might as well get around to some betting though. That's what the punters are here for. What's your best bet on the card for week 1 in the NPC, Paul?
Yeah, well, I'm just a bit wary about putting out my best bet because you guys were like, oh, so that's your best bet. That happened every time last season. So,
You're the one that has to live with it, Paul.
We'll look at the standings at the end of the year. Whoever's got the best ROI, and that's that.
Yeah, but who's keeping tally?
I am. We've all got access to the spreadsheet.
Well, all right. I'm going to go Waikato, Hawke's Bay, either team by 7 and under, 240.
Nice. Should be a great game. Looking forward to that one. Hopefully, good weather. 4:35 kickoff up at FMG Stadium.
Did you say 240, Paul?
240.
For a best bet. Mate, you've changed your ways. I'm proud of you.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
I'm giving
How about you,
you some props. I'm just going to go Otago -6.5 is counties, $1.87.
Of course.
You know how I feel about the mighty Otago.
Richard Laddie. Yeah. Don't worry, we did check with Carly. Hadn't listened to the podcast last week, so the sucking up to the boss didn't pay off in the preview show.
Hopefully he'll listen this week.
Yeah, I did look at Hawke's Bay plus 4.5. That always got to consider that when the Magpies are underdogs to make it the best bet. But I landed on Taranaki -18.5 against Northland. I'm not super keen on this.
Tony Far? No. Don't. So
know.
I guess the Northland or Southland to make the quarterfinals is basically just a Southland to make the quarterfinals power play.
Well, that's what we said last week, I think.
Pretty much.
Like, Northland do have something like Josh Morby's a good signing for them. He had a great season for the Hurricanes. Obviously, interested to see how he goes at fullback. I think Tom Robinson will be fired up for a big season, as we said last year. Josh Goodhue, was very good for the Blues as well. So they have some names that you talk about a team with a point to prove who's going to want to come flying out of the gates. The Naki after everything that happened last season with the lack of promotion and relegation, and obviously being just very good. Obviously no Perifeta this week, but I do think that they can really put up a score at home against Northland. It's playing at Pukakura Park. They beat Hawke's Bay by double digits at home in the first week of last season. It's not quite the same test they're going to get here. So yeah, I'll take the 18.5 because I think they will be keen to put on a bit of a show if they do get going downhill, which they're very capable of. So Taranaki -18.5, my best bet for week 1. You've given us a $2.40 best bet of the week, so I'm very excited to see what your value bet is this week, Paul.
Well, it was only going to be 10 cents more. So you've made me change my mind. I'm sticking with the same game. I'm going to go Hawke's Bay 1-12 at 360.
Nice.
Of course, we've got bonus back promotion on all NPC games this weekend. So I thought I'd better throw out a winning team and margin bet. So Hawke's Bay 1-12, 360.
What was the $2.50 shot, just so the punters know?
Hawke's Bay head-to-head.
Ah, right.
Yeah. I'm going to make Magpie money this year.
Don't even know what that means. How about you, Richard? What bit of value you found?
I found a power play in tonight's game. Manawatu just scored 10 plus points in each half at 5.50. They've played all right against Canterbury the last couple of years, and they've got some potential out wide, and obviously Brett Cameron in at 10, so there could be a few points scored from Manawatu. So 5.50, happy to take that one.
Brett Cameron revenge game.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I interest anyone $26 for Braden Yosse or TK Howden anytime try score at Manawatu 1-12? No takers?
All yours.
No. I have a bit of value line up for that game, but it's probably not on the side you think. I don't think Canterbury 1-12 is a bad bet with the bonus back in play and everything. Like I said last week, Canterbury have struggled to score points relative to a lot of other teams. Maybe if it is a bit of a scrappy start to the season for them, they do have a lot of talent in that back line, but it might take a few weeks for things to click. Manawatu did concede a lot of points towards the end of last year, but could be a case of a very stoppable force meeting a movable object at the boneyard. So I think Manawatu can keep it close at home with the bonus back insurance, $4.60. Not a bad bet there, but I also like Bay of Plenty half-time Wellington full-time at $6 on Sunday.
Half full-time turnaround.
Yeah, I think Bay of Plenty, they'll be well drilled enough. They can probably. I think we saw a few teams jump on Wellington early last season, and actually, did Wellington go up to Bay of Plenty, and it was the other way around there. They pulled off a late charge in the game in the round robin last year, but
yeah, That was huge. That was a big comeback, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It was
two
like-
tries in the last couple of minutes or something.
Yeah.
But yeah. If,
You wouldn't have been confident.
No.
No.
Yeah, but if Wellington do get behind, and then they, like we've all said, they have the talent in the back line to throw it around and certainly run over the top of Bay of Plenty. Chuck Ruben Love last try scorer in there as well, because I saw a few people on our Facebook post last night checking out Ruben for Bunnings NPC MVP. So you love to see it. I think that he's in for a huge season. That'll be been backing him to score a try as well, because you got to do it. So that'll I'll take the $6 there for my value bet. Who's your best underdog on the card, Paul? I think we know.
Hawke's Bay at 250. I love the build-up that they've had. They've obviously had a few shield challenges, not against NPC caliber teams, but still, I think that helps coming into the first game of the season more than a pre-season game between two NPC teams.
It is something different. Like, it's not just one of these game of three halves where you're swapping like an entire 15 out at halftime and anything like that. Yeah. Mm. So, yeah.
Hawke's Bay, head-to-head, 250.
Are you joining the Magpie bandwagon, Richard?
No, he's not.
I don't mind that, but I'll go Bay of Plenty, 380 against, as I said, an unpredictable,
Not this year.
Wellington team. Hey, we'll see. This time next Thursday, Friday, we'll see.
Sorry, I was just looking at the Farah Palmer Cup odds for a second. I thought maybe there was some money to be made there, but I will. I will stick with also the Hawke's Bay Magpies, the 250 head-to-head. Yeah, I think great price. Obviously, with nothing else needs to be out there. But chuck in Bay of Plenty Volcanics plus 14.5 against Waikato. I think they put in a very good performance at the Boneyard against the Cyclones a couple of weeks back. Got very, very good scrum, so I can see them keeping it close against Waikato. Yeah.
Who, Bay of Plenty?
The Volcanics.
They beat Auckland as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
Nice little intercept try. Sort of reminded me of sort of Arthur Stone doing it to Auckland a few years ago. Anyway,
so maybe have a nibble on the 550 for the Volcanics there. Yeah. And what's your multi-anchor? What's going? Obviously, Overball multi-buster is going strong. We got NRL, we got AFL, we got Rugby Championship, but most importantly, we got 7 games of NPC to chuck in some multis. What's your multi-anchor for
Wellington head-to-head, $1.27.
Woohoo! And Richard?
Auckland head-to-head, $1.25.
Good luck to you both. I'm taking Taranaki minus 7.5. I think it's about $1.27. I'll no try score odds up for a few of the later games there, but if Tyrone Thompson is named in the 2 jersey, maybe just make him your multi-anchor to score a try. But for now, we'll go Taranaki minus 7.5 for my multi-anchor. Yep, we'll see about that one. Anyway, I think that's, unless there's any other little nuggets you two want to share with the punters ahead of a huge weekend of rugby, we'll let everyone get on with their days.
Yeah, I just can't wait until it all kicks off. And it's a great weekend because you can, if you want, watch quite a bit of NPC rugby on Saturday night, and then head into some Com Games coverage and get right through until, 3 in the morning for kickoff. The All Blacks Springbok test. So you don't have to go to sleep. You don't want
2 cups of tea down at our Horno, Paul?
Cup of tea? No, it's been a while since I've been out, to be fair. So
sounds like you do.
I'll be on the couch.
Of course. That's no doubt where I'll be. If I have to play 80 minutes on the wing like it looks like I might have to on Saturday. So, But great time of year to be a rugby fan. It's always a great time to be a rugby fan, but never more so than this weekend. Enjoy all the footy, and we'll be back in 7 days to break down...
good luck to the Manukau Rovers, who are back in the Gallagher Shield final for the first time in, I think, 30 or 40 years, up against the Ponies, I think. Yeah, up against Ponsonby. It'll be a big game for the Manukau boys. Good luck.
Up the Rovers. We'll leave it on that. Cheers, everyone. Have a good weekend.